Building a mega menu can sometimes be a tricky process, and sometimes understanding how a mega menu has been created for your permissions is also tricky. This short video, we're going to spend 5 minutes or so having a look into how a mega menu is created and understanding how those links go through to different areas, because we want a mega menu that looks like this compared to this. Okay, how do we get it from that under docs, human resources, etc., to look like this? Okay, first of all, you need to start off with going into your top menu structure. So, profile panel, application settings, and then into manage top menu. Now, when we get into manage top menu, first of all, you need to create a header. Okay, so a header, people and places, docs, toolbox, you don't actually click into those items, you click on the drop down arrow and you get further information. So we need to start off with that first. So I'm going to create one called news and events. So I click into new item and select news and events. I'm going to create a header. Okay. It's not going to be a submenu item because it's going to appear straight on the top menu structure. I don't want it to appear under any of those options just yet, okay? Active, not hidden, okay? So throughout the whole process of creating your mega menu, nothing is hidden immediately, because if it was hidden, it'd be tricky to create, okay? Now, we've got news and events at the very bottom. However, this is active, but it's not showing immediately. Now, it won't because it's a header, and as I just described, you can't click into headers. You can't do anything with headers. So, of course, if that appeared and you gave your users access, okay, if anything, your users will try and click it and nothing will happen, okay? So, we have created news and events, which is the same as people and places, okay? It's just a header. We now want to create these bold items, so people, places and departments. So I'm going to create one called news, okay? So I click into new item and I'm going to call it news. It's another header, okay? Because if I click into people and places, I can't select them. Can you see how my cursor doesn't change, whereas my cursor changes down here? Okay, so it's another header. Okay. And then this time you do want to make it a submenu item of that header that we've already created of news and events. So make it a submenu item. You get to choose your parent, so I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom and click news and events, because the latest item you create will always be at the bottom. Okay, still not hidden. Click save. So we now can see we've got news and events and we've got news. So it will start to look like the docs item at first, but it's then how we branch it out past that. So I'm also going to create one called events. Okay, so we've got news and events and we're going to break it down into news and into events. Give it a header. And of course, make it a submenu item once again. Okay. So now we've got sort of the groundwork set up. Now what we need to do is make it into that mega menu. So what we're going to do is click into new item and we're going to make a content area, because what a mega menu actually is it's still a content area on the system that is housing all your information, all your categories, all your calendars. But what you do is you build out that area and then you hide it at the final stage, because the categories and the calendars that you've added in there then become quick links off the top menu, okay? So we're going to do it for the news area. So at the moment we've got news and events, we've got news, events. So I'm going to make a content area for news and events. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little arrow at the start, or a hyphen, anything you prefer. You want it to stand out. This is for your permission structure, because when you create a mega menu, top menu, it's all built up of links. So realistically, it's just giving your users access to the links. By putting this little arrow in, it's showing you on the top menu structure which ones are the content areas. Because yes, you can give your users permission to the links, but they still need permission to access the entire area. Because the mega menu link is just a quick link through to that area, okay? Quick link through to specific information, okay? They still need to get to that area to view that specific information. So you'll see how this works. I've got the arrow. It's a content area. Make it a submenu item, yes. And I'm going to pop it under news and events. Okay. Click save. So that is our content area, and this content area will be hidden eventually. Okay. So now we've got news and events like that. Okay. So I'm going to click into it. And I'm very simply, down the left-hand panel, okay, going to click in and create 2 or 3 categories. So add menu item. I'm going to create a category called headline news. And I'm going to save it. I'm also going to create one called UK news and one called US news. Okay. Now this can be for calendars as well. It doesn't just have to be for categories, okay? Because we've got an events option, but for today I'm just going to show you the category aspect. Okay, so UK news, and then finally US news. Save. Okay, so you've got your categories set up. So a mega menu is designed to not just take your users to the area, but to take them through to that specific category on the left-hand panel. So what we need to do now is, once you've got that structure created in the left-hand panel, whether it's a calendar, whether it's a gallery, whether it's your categories, you go into it and you take the URL at the top, okay? You copy that. And then you go back into your top menu structure, back into your top menu, you click on new item, and this time you're creating a link. And of course, this is called headline news because that is the title of the category. It's a link, we paste the URL in, and the target is the same window because you want to remain in the intranet tab. Make it a submenu item of your news section. Okay, so that makes that news header actually show as a header. Click save. So now if we click into news and events, it's become that mega menu, as you can see. Okay, so you go back in to the content area, so you need the content area to show, and you do the same again. So if we go into UK news, and we can copy the URL, okay? Now one thing with the URLs to mention is, whenever you're copying a URL for a category, for example, just to save you some time, every category has its own individual ID number, so this one is 3029. If I hover over US news, and if you look at the bottom of the screen, that one is 3030, okay? So if you've made them in order, the ID numbers are always straight after each other, but it's just the exact same URL. So if you've copied this one at the top, okay, and you know the next category is 3030, then what you can do is UK news is 3029. It just saves you a little bit of time because you can go into application settings, you can go into your top menu, new item, and this one was UK news. Link once again, URL, same window, submenu item of news, and then without having to go back to the category, I can just add another new item, and this one's US news because it's the same URL, okay, just changing that number at the end. So just to save you some time, rather than clicking through all the areas, you can just note down the numbers if needs be. Remove that and type in 30, same window, make it a submenu item of news and click save. Okay, so that in essence is how to create a mega menu structure, as you can see. And you can do the same for events. We might have a calendar that we want to click into, and we take the URL for the calendar. Now the final thing with your mega menu, okay, is you need to hide the content area, okay? So you scroll back down to find it on your top menu. So always host it under the correct top menu item just so you can find it. Click into news and events with the arrow. And once in there, okay, you're not making it inactive, or otherwise these links up here won't go anywhere because the content will be inactive, okay? You're simply making it hidden, okay? Select save, and you will see that it no longer shows, but you have that mega menu structure that when you click into, say, headline news, that will take you through to that area. And we can see this is that content area because it's got that arrow. You can remove that arrow once you have hidden the item. We purely put in an arrow or a hyphen just to really represent that is the content area, because you might have a very similar naming convention. Okay, so obviously once it's hidden, once the structure is complete, if you want to tidy up these areas, you can do. Okay, and therefore you can now see that mega menu structure created. So yes, at first when you do start creating your mega menu, it will look a bit like this docs tab, okay, and you might think, well, how do we branch out? But it's all about just having those headers and making those sub menu items, and then you will get that mega menu structure.